G'day guys, welcome back to CakesByChoppA. Today we have the classic Nintendo controller cake. This was sent to me by Tam and Tony, two good friends of mine on YouTube. Their YouTube channels are linked below. Click on the annotation to check them out. This cake I wanted to put a bit of a funky spin on, and this is a grape Kool-aid flavoured cake. It's just a normal cake mix, normal vanilla cake, and you add 2 packets of Kool-aid and half a cup of sugar to offset the bitterness of the Kool-aid. Let me tell you, it tastes amazing. If you love Kool-aid, you will love this cake. Once it's out of the oven, let it cool, then you can start trimming your cake. A little tip, I didn't trim my cake enough. I should have cut a little bit more off the top to make it a bit more longer either side and closer to the controller shape. But I think it still looks cool. It looks sort of funky and chunky and retro anime sort of thing. Give it a crumb coat, apply vanilla frosting all over, ready to apply your white icing. Now I get a lot of questions on where I get the white icing from and what it is. I buy it from a supermarket, pre-packaged. It's called Orchid White Icing. It's ready to roll and apply. If you can find it, it should be in the baking section of your supermarket. Once you've applied your white icing, push it down, smooth it off, and then trim off all the excess. This is just a cake smoother. You can get them for like $2 on eBay. My mum sent this one over for me. And I got a few others, but that bone coloured one is my favourite. It's light and it seems to do the trick really well. I use the other clear one to push together and make a sharper corner, because you're trying to make something that looks like a plastic box. You can be as fidgety as you want with this. I couldn't get it any straighter than this, but I was happy with it. Now for my cake, I had to draw a template for the buttons and thumb control bar. These will be different for your cake rule ratio if you make it. So if you're not very good at drawing things up, I would suggest just print off a template from Google. If I find one, I'll put it on CakesByChoppA's Facebook page. Okay. Now here I just rolled out the white icing for the detailing. I kept it pretty thick because I wanted it to really look, fun and funky with the controller. Using these little templates and the ruler, I just push them out and then neaten them up after I'm finished. You can see I've already done the squares that go under the thumb buttons and the thumb controller. I made 2 of the I guess you call it TBar, and one is a little bit smaller so it sits on top to give a white border. And I used a shot glass to cut out the buttons for the A and B button. Using the extra bit of white underneath really gave it the highlight. When you look at the controller, it's got this little border around it, and this was the easiest way I found. Placing on the little paper things, I measured out where I needed to paint in the detail on the cake. Just sort of scratched it in with the ruler and the impression tool. Now, I didn't want to mess around with the colours too much, so I got a bit of black food dye and diluted it in water. And I knew if I painted it on and then smeared it across, it would go a light greyish colour. As you can see here, I just sort of got it to where I was happy, painted the block across the top, and then the rest of it is all black. There's a really dark grey on the controller, but black looks really good, I think. And then, rather than fidgeting with all these solid little grey shapes, I just paint the black over the top of the grey. You can see here in a minute, I'll do the lines across. And it was just saved a lot of time rather than painting the little grey shapes and going all around them. And with the painting on the icing, I usually do 2 coats, because once it goes on, it's sort of liquidy and then it sets in and looks grainy. But if you let it soak into the icing for a bit, it mixes with the sugar, and then you give it another slap over and it goes glossy and looks plastic. So now you apply on the bottom white parts and then just sit the T-bar and the thumb buttons on top, adding in the start and pause button. And I use a ruler to go around the edges. I just think it adds a nice touch to make it look like the controller. Thanks again, Tam and Tony, for suggesting this cake. And if you guys haven't already checked it out, please pop over to Facebook and look up CakesByChoppA. And if you dig this track behind the video, the music, just pop over to danosongs.com for your royalty-free music.